This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group, and your host of Washington Calling, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that explore topics that impact you, the viewer. Today, we are fortunate to have a distinguished guest who is a dear friend, and his name is Zafar Sareshwala. He's an entrepreneur, industrialist, and more importantly, he's an educationist. He has a commitment towards education to entrepreneurship for minorities in India through his initiative, Talim Tarbiyat. I hope I pronounced it correctly, and I hope I did. I'm an Algerian, I should pronounce it correctly. I hope so. He's the former chancellor of Maulana Azad National Urdu University and currently has Sareshwala Enterprises established in 2007. He's one of the pioneers of Islamic finance across the globe. Thank you for coming to our show. Good to see you, Zafar, and welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me here with you on the show. It's a privilege. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Zafar, you're one of India's most well-known and leading Muslim public figure, businessman, entrepreneur, educationist, and community leader. How would you like to be known to the global audience who do not know you? You want to be known as a community leader, as a combination of all, or as a business leader, as an entrepreneur?
By any yardstick, Dr. Frank, I am not a leader at all. I am just an ordinary person. I've tried doing several things, and these have inherently come to me because of my family. I mean, my family has been associated with issues connected to Muslims, particularly in the field of education and culture in the city of Ahmedabad for almost more than 125 years. Even my great-grandfather, he had set up Ahmedabad Education Society in 1920. And that was, he continued, and then my grandfather took it over, my father. So, of course, we had a privileged background. I mean, the family business, which we are into, manufacturing of industrial valves, has been in existence since 1890 in the same premise. And I am the sixth generation entrepreneur. But larger than that, I mean, I would want to be known as a family which has done for the Muslim community, particularly in the field of education and so many other. So, and particularly culture, and since you are an Algerian and I am from Gujarat, and Gujarati, my mother tongue is not Urdu, but my family has been recipient of reviving Urdu in Gujarat about 60 years back.
Wow.
My grandfather had set up Gujarat Urdu board, which then went on to my uncle, my father, and then we took it over. And we promoted Urdu or tried to make it alive again in Ahmedabad and in Gujarat. So that is also a connection, a slight connection of Urdu which we have.
Well, and I was, thank you very much for inviting me to Talim Tarbiyat when I was in BHU to give a speech, and I appreciated that very much. And I saw a lot of faces that I can understand and relate to it. So let me change my gears and ask you a question on the Islamic finance. As you know, you are one of the pioneers of Islamic finance. Please tell us about the uniqueness, advantages, and disadvantages of this concept, and your role and responsibility of Islamic finance, and tell us why. What are the importance of this Islamic finances? As I understand, it's a part of the Sharia Islamic law. And how do you make the money when you give money to the interest-free people? Interest-free. So how do you make the money? Tell us a little bit about this uniqueness of the concept and the advantage, disadvantage of Islamic finance.
See, Islamic finance is as old as Islam. It was started, in fact, pre-Islamic. If we all know that the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, was known as Sadiqul Amin prior to he became the Prophet. Sadiqul Amin means an honest person. And why was he called that? Because in those days, we all know it is in the Islamic history that he used to go to trade in Syria.
Oh,
And and the rich women or the wealthy people in Makkah, they used to part with their wealth and the Prophet with his effort, his skill, uh, and he would do business. So he was known that if you want to entrust your money, there is no honest person than Muhammad. He was called as Sadiqul Amin. So that form of partnership was the basic fundamental of Islamic finance. My money, your skill, and then sharing. This is in now present Islamic finance. It is called mudaraba. Means my money, your skill. So Islam, and it would be very difficult to understand that the community which has ruled in the world for more than 1,000 years would not be having their own mode of financing. I mean, it is very strange to understand. The present banking which we have, the normal banking which we have, or we call the conventional banking, actually is the Jewish banking, which was started about 175, 200 years back. But now we don't call it Jewish banking. It is a conventional form of banking. So Islam always had its own banking system devoid of interest, because Islam frowns on interest. Because, interest, why Islam frowns on interest? Because Islam does not allow that you make money out of money. And how can you be at an advantage position? Because Islam says that my wealth and your skill both should be termed as equal. So Islam says that why? Because in the present system, what happens? Bank gives you money and
right,
you do business. But
right,
bank says we don't care whether you lose or not.
right,
You have to pay me. Suppose tomorrow they've given you $1 million and you lose. They'll say, oh, we don't care. I want that $1 million plus interest.
right,
Islam says that the which I have not contributed, why you are penalizing me? So Islam says that you also take risk and reward. So that is fundamental of Islam. And then in last about 30, 35 years, this Islamic finance, the present day, has established. And I would say that the two pioneers of that idea of Islamic finance in modern day, one is Dr. Najatullah Siddiqui. He was an Aligarhian.
yeah, I
He
do know.
recently he died in California. So he is basically, I would call him the father of giving this idea. And second is Mufti Taqi Usmani of Pakistan, who was also former justice in the Pakistan Supreme Court. So these two, and then a lot of other people came up. And I came in this field in 1995. And why I came? Because I saw when I traveled to the US in those days, I used to travel to the UK. And then a lot of Muslims used to have, they were wary of, putting their money in the banks. They didn't want interest. They didn't want to pay interest. They were moving away from mortgages. They didn't want to invest in the stock market. Muslims were very confused. I'm talking of late 90s. So I, and along with a lot of other scholars, we came up with a conclusion that look, everything is not haram. Like for example, stock market. Everything in stock market is not haram. So we then, set up those standards because we saw that there is a huge market. There is a huge market and there are no Islamic financial products available. So I think in 96, 97, Harvard University started a program called Harvard University Islamic Finance Program.
Mhm.
It is called HIFP. And they invited me first time in 97, I came, 98, I came. And in 99, they asked me to write a paper on it. So I, along with one very distinguished professor of finance in a university in India, Dr. Ubaidullah, we both wrote a paper, how to set up Islamic fund in non-Islamic environment. Non-Islamic means where Islamic financial system is not there. And Frank, you'd be happy that even today that paper of mine is taught in Howard University.
Well,
So
well
I
done.
gave that idea that how, and then, rest is history. Then after that, Dow Jones came with their Islamic equity index, then FTSE came, and then here in India, Standard and Poor. So basically, we created a framework on that. So my whole idea was that there is a huge market, latent market.
Okay.
And there are no financial products. For example, you take US. Now, USA has almost 11, 12 million Muslim population, but there must be at least 10,000 financial products.
Right.
But how many Islamic financial products are there?
None.
Take in Europe. So I thought that there's a huge market, and in fact, again, I am setting up an ethical and an Islamic fund in Abu Dhabi at the Abu Dhabi Global Market, and it will be called Hilal Ethical Fund. And I've taken a lesson because when I came up with Islamic Fund in 2001, it got a good start, but then 9/11 happened. And in those days, anything Islamic was very difficult to handle. So I've decided not to call it Islamic, call it ethical. So we are setting up that fund now in Abu Dhabi.
You're known as a person with a deep commitment to education, especially for minorities in India and including Muslim women, such as the fact that you were Chancellor of Maulana Azad Urdu University. Other initiatives that you involved into, such as Talim-e-Tarbiyat. Do you think the term as a Vice Chancellor that you've been rewarded because of your relationship and engagement with Prime Minister Modi and the BJP government? Tell us a little bit about what impact, influence did you make when you were a Chancellor of Maulana Azad Urdu University, and why your leadership was beneficial to Maulana Azad University? Tell us a little bit about Talim-e-Tarbiyat as well. I think you mentioned that earlier. So tell us a little bit about the uniqueness, advantage, and disadvantage of Talim-e-Tarbiyat.
Frank, a lot of people thought that my only qualification to become Chancellor at Maulana Azad was my proximity to Mr. Modi. And in fact, the first meeting which I had when I took up the charge, I still remember it was 14th January 2015. At that meeting, I had invited most prominent people from Hyderabad, about 200 people, the Vice Chancellor, everybody was there. And I said, because people had started, this whole campaign against me. And they also said that a Chancellor of Urdu University is made a Gujarati. And they said that a car dealer is made a Chancellor. So the first speech which I made, because my predecessors in that university, I'm not naming them, their degrees I had not even imagined ever in my life. All three predecessors had double PhDs from top US universities. In fact, I was the least qualified chancellor ever in the country. I was just a graduate mechanical engineer. And what was the condition of that university when I went there? It had gone through three most prominent. And my predecessor, earlier to me, was a lady. She had 2 terms. She was close ally of the government of the day. I'm not so close to the government. That lady was part of Sonia Gandhi's kitchen cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Double PhD. You know what was the condition of the university when I went there? 35,000 Muslims in the university. 11 campuses across the country. 157 learning centers across the country. Can you imagine a central university? Maulana Azad is a central, 32 central government universities out of those. The BA and MA, couple of courses of BA and MA of Maulana Azad University was not recognized by UGC.
Okay.
Yeah. Maulana Azad also had 2 polytechnics for engineering. One polytechnic in Darbhanga in Bihar was not approved by AICT, which is the Government of India's accreditation agency. Means if you graduate from that polytechnic, now it's a central university, you are not eligible for government job. So my predecessors, highly educated, very close, they could not even do this basic. They didn't do. Third, it was a university that they did not even know what is recruitment. There was no system of recruitment. The students there did not know what a seminar is, what a symposium is. MBA student, they did not know how Reserve Bank of India works, how a multinational company works. They were just because ordinary Muslim youth were there. So these people were coming there with a tag of Chancellor of Maulana Azad National Urdu University with double PhDs from US. So they made that here a chancellor, least educated chancellor, Zafar Sareshwala, whose only qualification is proximity to Modi. When I entered the university, only 40% seats were being filled, 60% were remaining empty. The first thing I did, I got all the courses recognized. In the very 3 months, I got them recognized by UGC. Second, I got all their distance learning courses, which were spread in 155 cities in the country. I got them up and running, all of them. Third, they were closing a lot of campuses. One was in Lucknow, they were going to close. I opened it. There was only postgraduate course I put there in Lucknow. I put undergraduate and I also put PhD there. Then I did at least 9 international seminars in Maulana Azad National Urdu University. The first seminar which I did was called Muslims, Democracy and Media. Muslims, Media and Democracy. I invited 52 most prominent journalists from across the world. Then I brought Ivanka Trump there on an entrepreneurship program with the government, US government, because at that time she was handling a lot of things in the State Department.
Right.
I did 9 most prominent symposiums there. I did a lot of seminars there. First time ever, I took the MBA students for industrial tour. I took them to Reserve Bank of India. I made them visit Reliance Industries. I took them to a very large IT company in Mumbai. I took them to 2 big banks, how the banking system works. In fact, I took them to the Bombay Stock Exchange, and you know the best part, they were accorded the reception of ringing the bell at the Bombay Stock Exchange, which is only reserved to the Prime Minister and the kings of the world. These young, ordinary youth of Maulana Azad National Urdu University got the chance to ring the bell of the Bombay Stock Exchange. Fourth, fifth, I got 10 large companies of India there as recruitment. In the first year, 130 students got recruited. After that, 200, 300, I brought them there. And most important, and that you have to give marks to Mr. Modi, which nobody has done ever in any Islamic world. I told Mr. Modi that, look, this Urdu is a language which is now remained in the precincts of the madrasa. If you allow me, I have identified 250 madrasas in the country. I can directly admit them in Maulana Azad. Okay. And he said, how you will do that? Because madrasa students, they have never been to any school. They have not passed their SSC. They have not done their 12th. How can they come to a university? I said, sir, we had set up a bridge course for 1 year. All these madrasa students come here. They go through the bridge course and then they go for engineering. They go for pharmacy.
Okay.
And Frank, today, I can bring you umpteen students, a Maulana and a structural engineer, a Maulana and an economist, a Maulana and a pharmacist, which has not even happened in Pakistan. It has not happened in Saudi Arabia. And this was done by least educated chancellor in the country, whose only qualification was proximity to Modi.
So thank you very much for your impact, influence, and your leadership for the Maulana Azad University, what you did. So I want to talk to you about your relationship with the Prime Minister Modi. That's what we're talking about. And what role did you play in bridging the gap between the BJP government and PM Modi and Muslims in India? And do you believe you're a close confidant of Prime Minister Modi? You used to be, you still are. I would hope so. Do you think that Modi was responsible to bring the all Muslim, what was it called, Muslim League to India?
See, my view is, I've seen a lot, and the whole idea of meeting Mr. Modi for the first time, when we met him, when he was the chief minister of Gujarat, immediately after, the horrendous riots of Gujarat 2002. After that, the riots happened, the destruction, we all know about After that, in December of 2002, Mr. Modi brought elections and he again won by two-thirds majority. Now here is the government, and there are not 1-2 million Muslims in Gujarat. There were 5.5 million Muslims in Gujarat. Now there was not a single Muslim who had any connection in Gandhinagar with the power. You cannot remain in isolation with people in power. You know that. Your connection with Bill Clinton, your connection with Obama, your connection with people in power. We need to do that. If we want to do something for the community, Frank, it is very important that we have connection with the government of the day. Now, whoever that government is, that was the whole idea. So I rather became a bridge between Mr. Modi and the Muslim community. And that remained for almost 10 years till he became the prime minister in 2014. In fact, after that. So I feel that in India, Muslims are decimated. I mean, it's not today, it's not happened today or day before yesterday. It has happened for almost 35, 40 years. Muslim votes today has no meaning. Neither you can bring somebody nor you can put somebody down. Your vote has no meaning now. So the only thing left for the Muslim community in the country is that you may vote whoever you want to vote. But there should be a process of dialogue with the government of the day, with not the politicians, the intellectuals of the community, the educationists, the IT professionals or doctors, engineers, businessmen, clerics. So I feel even now, whoever it is, Mr. Modi is there, okay, or in states also. Not I'm extrapolating, because in India we have a different form. We have a state central government and we also have state government. So even in states, whoever is in the government, there always need to have a process of dialogue between the community and the government of the day. In the center, between the community and so I have seen that when you meet them, you talk to them. See, after all, they are into power. They know.
Yeah.
See, so my view is that we need to have that. And second, one more thing which we need to have, Muslims in the country also need to have a process of dialogue with the non-Muslims, particularly the Hindus. This should go hand in hand.
And I am in a total agreement with you. As we understand, you were a goodwill ambassador representing Prime Minister Modi for Hajj in 2016. What role did you play then, and how has Hajj for Indian pilgrims changed since then? Do you think you're still a member of the Hajj committee? And what roles does the Hajj committee play? And is Hajj committee part of the minority affairs of India?
No, I was never a member of Hajj committee, nor earlier, nor even now. But the Prime Minister sent me as his goodwill ambassador to Saudi Arabia. I developed connections there at that time with the ruling family, with the people in the Islamic Development Bank, with a lot of people in power there for the country as a whole. And of course, I oversaw all the arrangements with the government of India does. Hajj committee is actually part of government of India. I mean, it is, people are appointed. Hajj committee was set up by an act of parliament. And the people there in Hajj committee are appointed by the government of India. So they would do what the government does. So basically, under the auspices of the ministry, the embassy there, the consulate, they do a couple of things like, airline, getting the tickets to and fro, plus housing, accommodation there. So these things are managed by Government of India under the auspices of Hajj committee, and that they do for about 170,000 pilgrims who go through Hajj committee. And the difference between going through Hajj committee and private is almost, the difference is more than 100%. Okay. Like for Hajj committee, they take for 300,000 or 370,000 rupees. But the least, if you go in private, it will cost you 600,000.
Okay.
So Government of India is doing a very yeoman service of doing this part. My role in that particular was to build bridges with the Government of India, with the people in power there. And I think that has been in very good state. You would be knowing that government of India today has best relations with Saudi Arabia and UAE. So
They
that
sure do.
relationship
They
is still
sure do.
going on.
Uh, my last question to you, Mr. Zafar, is you are one of the most successful entrepreneurs. Do you think ease of doing business in India become any easier considering India's red tape and corruptions, and considering the fact that the India has been ranked 77 in about 190 countries? Do you think it is easier to do business in India? And do you think what are the challenges of doing a business in India as an entrepreneur,
See,
as a businessman?
yeah. See, India has, I mean, as you mentioned, red tapeism and all that is there. Corruption is there. I mean, it's always has been there. But I think the brighter side is they have done. I mean, earlier governments and this government has done a lot of things for ease to do business. They have done. But the most important thing is that that demography is so huge that anything can be sold in the country. You can imagine India having almost 250 million middle class, almost the size of US,
Mhm.
and 100 million within them are such that who can buy anything on earth. So India has inherent strength due to the size of its population. That in itself is a huge market, and that's why every multinational wants to have a foot in India. You can see last in about 2 months' time, Apple for the first time directly opened two of their stores, one
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Mumbai and one in Delhi, and
right,
their sale is it has surpassed even their imagination.
right.
So of course these things are there, but then you have to we know how to crisscross and get into it, but the market is huge and that will always increase. And then also if you see, India is increasing its GDP every year. Almost it has become now very soon it will, in next couple of years it will be a $5 trillion industry. And every year the GDP is increasing. A lot of new people are coming in the wealth because of education, because of the IT segment. So many things are happening. So I think this inherent strength of India about the demographic, the size of the population, and the size of market would always be attractive. So I think that is the biggest point. I mean, a lot of other things are there, but this is the biggest point in the country.
Do you have anything to say before we close our conversation, Zafar?
No, I would advise if particularly the Muslim community are listening to it,
Okay.
that the people who are residing in the US, particularly the Muslim, I think they need to do a bit of them, either through some investment, small business, or take or identify 2, 3 poor students and take care of their full education.
That's a
Because
good point.
I feel that if we give education to the Muslims and the highest level of education, my feeling is everything else will fall in place.
That's a
So
good way to
my
put it.
request to you all would be pick up one child, give full education.
Okay, well, that's so if they need that assistance, they can have a call you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're most welcome. This is Frank Islam wishing you a great week. Thank you for watching.